I welcome you back to this video. Okay, this is the continuation of our G+2 structural design model. Okay, in our last video we edit our materials, we run our analysis, and we do some other things. And as you can see, this is where we stop. Okay, as you can see, my own analysis has expired. Okay, because this is another day entirely, so my analysis has expired. And there is one thing I need to tell you last time that I didn't tell you, though I've said that in my first training. Okay, in my first training videos with you. And this is before you run your analysis after editing your materials. Make sure you go to your settings center and go to your beam design before you run your analysis on your beam design and your column design. Okay, you go to your parameters, you set your minimum and maximum reinforcement. As you can see, I have set mine. So if you have missed that on my first training with you, please kindly go and check that. Okay, you make sure you set your concrete cover as well. As you can see, my own concrete cover is set here. Can you see that? Then you go to your, this is my floor beams. I don't have a rib beams. I'll go to my foundation. You set your foundation beam minimum and maximum diameter. Okay, you set for your links as well, and you set your concrete cover. Okay, then you can go to your slab as well. Go to your slab, you make sure you check Y12. Okay, you check your Y12 to be your what is it called, your minimum diameter of bar. Then your maximum spacing, you can leave it at 200. It depends on you as a designer. Okay, then you click on OK, and you make sure you save your project before you proceed to run your analysis. Okay, I believe by now you should have known that. So, but in case you have also forgotten that, make sure you do that and run your analysis. Okay, it's very good you do that and save your project, then you proceed to run your analysis. Okay, now let's progress to today's activities. But before we progress today, we are going to be discussing on how to correct our beam failure. Okay, that is what we are going to be discussing today. How do you correct your beam failure? But before I proceed, I would like to run my analysis back first. Okay, then we'll work on any beams that fail. Okay, then let me go back to my building analysis. I'll go to my analysis here, and I'll go to building analysis. Okay, under my analysis here, I'll go to building analysis, and I'll check these two boxes. I'll check reselect bars, and I'll click on building analysis. At times, you may luckily, once you set your concrete cover and run your analysis, it's possible that it's going to pass. If it did not pass, then you do some settings. Okay, and as a civil structural engineer or as a structural engineer, you don't depend on what software gives you. Okay, that is why the software allow for interactive design. Okay, the software allow for interactive design. Okay, it is very, very important. You look for a way to make sure that your model or your structure is safe. At times you can be seeing grain. It is not about seeing grain alone. You can be seeing grain and your structure will not fail during your analysis and design on your software. That is why manual calculation is also important. At times you may need to do some manual calculation to check. Don't just do giga in, giga out and say you are done with your modeling. Okay, it is very, very important you interact with your software. Okay, let me say okay, this is completed. I will close this. I will close this. I will also close this analytical model. Okay, and as you can see, we have successfully run on our analysis. Okay, so we still have some beam failing. Okay, how do you correct your beam failure in Prota structure? Okay, there are several ways of doing this. At times, you may possibly need to increase the depth of your beam, but it depends. Okay, we have this beam failing. If you remember, we have this beam failing as well. Can you see that? Okay, we have this column failing. But let me go right to this beam here. Go to this beam, select this beam, or right click and say session design. You click on it. Then this is telling you that design is not valid. Do you want to update rebars? I'll click on yes. Okay, as you can see, What I'm going to do now is I'll go to beams. Okay, I'll go to beams. This is my beam that is filling here. Can you see? Okay, can you see that? Let me just click on OK first. I'll go to interactive design back, or let me close this. Okay, let me go back to session design. I'll click on yes. I don't have a top bar here. I'll provide a top bar. Let me give it 2y16. Okay, can you see that? I'll give it 2y16. Then I'll go to this beam here and I will increase the depth of this beam. I can increase the depth to something like, let me say 500 mm, and let's see if it's going to pass. I'll say 500 mm. Okay, I'll click on enter, then I'll click on OK. Okay, as you can see, the beam has successfully passed. Okay, before we are using the depth of 450 and the beam is failing. Okay, but right now, as we increase the depth of the slab, okay, the section of the beam rather, the beam has passed. Okay, it means the 450 beam we used previously cannot work for that. At times you may only increase the reinforcement and it will pass. Okay, then let me go to this other one here. Let me go to this other one and let's check this particular one. Select this beam now and click on session design. You can also access your session design from here. I will click on it, then I'll click on yes. Okay, let's increase this to 2y20 and see if it's going to pass. Let's increase this. Let's give it a top bar. Let's say 2y20 as well. Okay, let's see if it's going to pass. Okay, and as you can see, my link spacing is 75 mm. Okay, then click on OK. Let's see if it's going to pass. Okay, can you see it's still failing? It's still failing. Can you see that? Can you see it's still failing? Okay, it's still failing. Then I can select it again. Right click and say section design. I'll click on yes. Then what if I give it 3y20? Let me give it 3y20 and click on OK again. Okay, as you can see, it's still failing. Can you see that? Then if I select it now, if you go to this side, okay, let me just select it. I click and go to session design. Yes, and if I increase the depth now, I'll go to beam and I will increase the depth to, or let me say I increase the depth to something like 200 mm. Let's see if it's going to pass. I click on enter. Okay, and I click on OK. Okay, as you can see, it's still failing. Okay, it is very important. Okay, so what if I click on it and I click and see session design again? Yes, let me increase the reinforcement. Let me give it 2y20. Okay, let me give it 2y20. Let me give it a top bar. Okay, and I'll click on OK. Okay, can you see? Can you see this? Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'll select this, right click and go to session design. I'll click on yes. Then I'll go to beams. Okay, then I will increase this depth now to, let me increase it to 300 mm. Okay, or let me say I use 250. Okay, once I increase it to 250, I'll still go and check it again if it's going to pass. Okay, I'll click on OK. Can you see? Can you see that it has successfully passed? So what I can do now is to increase the depth of this one also to 250 so that they can go in line together. I'll go to session design. I'll click on yes. Then I'll go to beam and I'll go to section, this height here. Okay, and I'll change it to 250 as well. Okay, I'll hit on enter. Then I'll click on OK. Can you see? As you can see, it has successfully passed. Can you see that? And I will also do the same thing for this one. I will select it. Okay, I'll right click and go to section design. Okay, and I'll go to beams. Okay, then I'll change this height to 250 here, and I'll click on OK. Click on enter and click on OK. And if you check it now, you see that everything is okay. Okay, can you see? We have worked on our beam failure. Okay, we still have one here. As you can see. Okay, let's select this one. I also work on this. Let's change all this to 250. Okay, 250. Okay, click on OK. Okay, I'll also change this to 250. Section design. I'll go to beams. I'll change this to 250 here. Before we are using 200. We use 200. We use 150. It fails. Okay, we give it a top bar. It fails. Okay, so it's telling us that the section is very, very small. Okay, to carry the load coming on it. I'll go to beam again. Okay, and I'll change this one also to 250. And I'll click on enter. Okay, and I'll click on OK. Okay, as you can see, we don't have any beam failing. Okay, we don't have any beam failing. Okay, can you see that? Okay, but the fact that your building is showing green. Okay, I can see one beam here again. Okay, the fact that your beam is failing or your building is showing green doesn't mean it doesn't have effect or cannot fail. Okay, or doesn't mean your building cannot collapse. The software allows you to do interactive design. You have to check your beams one after the other and work on it. Okay, as time goes on, we'll be working on our beams reinforcement one after the other. I'll be showing you some things you can do on that. Okay, so I cannot select this from here now. What I'll do is I'll go to my design and I'll go to story beams. Okay, I want to go and locate the beam that fails. Can you see that is the beam there? This is the beam. I'll double click on it. I'll click on yes. Okay, then I can now go to this beam here and increase the shell section. Okay, let me change it to 250. And I'll click on any workspace or click on enter and I'll close it. As you can see, the beam has passed. Okay, the beam has passed. Then I can close this. Can you see? We don't have any beam failing. Okay, that is that on how to work on your beam failure. Okay, when your column fails, okay, at times you may possibly have up to 10 columns that is failing on your project or on your design. So you just have to check them one after the other. And I've told you that the fact that your design is showing green doesn't mean your design is safe. Okay, this is where you have to know how to do your manual check. Okay, so let me go back. Okay, I will select this column now and right click on it and go to section design. Okay, once I go to section design, the first thing I'm going to do now is, at times you may need to go to let me see. At times you may need to run your analysis back, but at times it won't pass. Okay, as you can see, this columns is using diameter 12 currently. So I will now work on this column and make it pass. Now I will click on reset bars. Okay, once I click on reset bars, at this corner here you can see we have 4 at the corner. At this corner here we have 1 at this corner, 1 at this corner. So here now the diameter, I'm going to change it to 16. I'll change it to 16. Okay, and I'll click on OK. Okay, if I click on OK, as you can see, the column has successfully passed. Can you see that? Can you see? So at times, if you have all columns failed, all columns that failed, you need to work on them one after the other. Okay, this is where I'm going to stop for now. Thank you very much. See you in my next video.